Yes, yes, with pleasure. Yes, my name is Alberto Anrò, and I come from Italy, and I work at the University of Turin in the north of Italy, and University of Bologna also, where I lecture there. And well, what I'm into philosophy actually. So starting from a Western philosophy background, and then since quite a while, to be honest. So let's say 8, 10 years. I'm studying and more deeply into South Asian philosophy too. That's why I'm here, even attending this conference, and that's why I found so fascinating and studying Sanskrit language also as a tool to get an access to this incredible treasure of Sanskrit literature, philosophical literature in particular, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, well, my main topic, my field of study is actually philosophy, and in particular logic, epistemology, theory of knowledge, and also mathematics too. And so South Asian mathematics, history of mathematics. And so basically I'm dealing with Nyaya Vaisheshika tradition, Dharmakirti, Nagarjuna, even the Buddhist side of the inquiry into logic and the epistemology. So what I'm looking for into these ancient texts, well, I think that they are kind of a mine to dig into. There are such a wonderful insights already set up, already prepared, just to be discovered or rediscovered. I'm saying that because as a Westerner scholar belonging to this tradition, I was into my tradition, I would say, the tradition of Greek and European scholarship from the old days, from the ancient times to the contemporary times. And so, my reading of these texts clearly is from that perspective. And so it's a kind of a true dialogue that I want to pursue. A true dialogue starting from my tradition, the texts that I've read since I was a teenager, let's say, belonging to the Greek traditions, etc. So reading and questioning and posing questions to this incredible tradition belonging to the South Asian lore from this perspective. So a true dialogue in my experience. Yes. The trigger was the logicians, Nagarjuna, and then the Nyaya logicians, Gautama, the Nyaya Sutra. So these kind of texts. When I found this subtle inquiry and such a set of tools, conceptual tools, I had these insights. Okay, I have to understand something more and more about that, because I think that could be, such a fruitful experience to navigate this path. And that was the moment. Yes, let's say 10 years ago. Yeah. Well, the tools that, for example, I quoted Nyaya Sutra, this foundational text in logic tradition, the tools of made of such a subtle distinctions in the means of knowledge, the kind of different knowledges that you can get while thinking, through thinking. So this kind of conceptual tools. Well, I think that both of them deal with the same problems. And that's the point. In my experience, it's not a matter of described simple analogies, but to be aware that both of traditions are dealing with the same problem, the same objects, so to speak. So what is true, what is false, and what does it mean to be true? And on the contrary, what is false and why? What is an object? What is experience? How do we experience this object, and so on? So we have an entire set of strategies to deal with those problems. And so the interesting point in my experience is to see how Western philosophy and South Asian philosophy have tried to build different paths to the same problem. And I mean, try this double traveling, so to speak, allows us to even better understand our own tradition. So whenever you find a solution, maybe new or surprising, or even already known, you say, okay, now I can understand even better the solution that maybe an author you have read since you were a teenager proposed. Sanskrit is the key to have this access to those texts, those questions, and here and there, even those solutions. So you don't need to reinvent the wheel every day. And so the key is, getting this access to those texts and starting this conversation. The main point is, in my opinion, is having this conversation, start this conversation, and first of all, posing questions. It's a matter of horizons. So we live, in a cultural, social horizon, but why don't widen it? So widen this horizon, questioning and looking at others. So merging these horizons. This is a quote from Hans-Georg Gadamer. So this merging of horizons. This is hermeneutics. What hermeneutics does. It's this way of expanding our experience, even personally, So it's a way of living 3 or 4 lives in one. Well, my experience of Nepal is obviously amazing. I spent a week here in Nepal before the conference, so I had the chance to visit some historical sites, Bhaktapura, for example, etc. But also, I went to the hills in the Annapurna, not too high because of the season, of the monsoon season. And even in the south, in the Chitwan Natural Reserve. So it was amazing. All these parts and sites were truly amazing. The historical and cultural side, but also the natural one, of course. So my experience is absolutely positive and amazing. Speaking of the conference, well, it's incredible. To be here with such a number of possibilities and contributions to follow from all over the world. So I don't know. The problem is what to choose and how to manage such an offer. So it's a pleasure and an honor to be here, even as a speaker, even as a speaker, truly. Well, very, very simply, I could say that, I mean, there are so many possibilities, so many. Why don't we get them? I mean, why don't we read ancient texts? Why don't we travel in the nature, as I said just a couple of seconds ago, to enrich our lives? So this is, I mean, my very small piece of advice is just this one. Why don't we just explore in a very simple, gentle way, very softly, gently moving around and discover what a beautiful possibility there are out there.